Red Bull huge upgrades for Hungary. If Red Bull's current season performance wasn't already dominating, they're introducing new upgrades at the upcoming Hungarian Grand Prix in Budapest. They estimate these changes could shave at least 0.2 of a second off their lap times, increasing the dominance of an already superior car. Intriguingly, the rumors also suggest an unsuspecting change to a part of the car, which proved to be problematic for one of their rivals, a thing which is particularly noteworthy given that numerous teams have been influenced by Red Bull's design in recent seasons. It seems they might be venturing into an alternate, potentially quicker design path, which we will discuss in this video, so let's get on with it. You don't need to be a Formula 1 expert to see that 10 wins in 10 races is an amazing feat of strength for Red Bull, who are marching towards their third world title with Max Verstappen at the wheel. The team from Milton Keynes, England has now won 11 Grand Prix in a row across the seasons, thereby offsetting the McLaren record of 1988. And for the next race in Hungary, Red Bull is preparing an upgrade to improve an already dominating car. The competition had submitted, as Mercedes, Ferrari, Aston Martin and most recently McLaren have modified their cars in a big way, but they still can't challenge the RB19, no matter what type of route, what weather, on what tires. The Red Bull is also subject to fluctuations. They also struggle with the pitfalls of the ground effect cars. Only they have such a big lead that they mask their deficits with performance, says McLaren team boss Andrea Stella. And it's true, as the statistics don't lie. Red Bull has 580 lead laps. Ferrari, Mercedes, McLaren and Aston Martin all have led 30. Red Bull's victory margin in every Grand Prix has technically been the narrowest in Australia, right behind the safety car. Even at Silverstone, a safety car came towards the end, and the Austrian Grand Prix saw the 7 pull into the pits for the fastest lap with just 1 lap left. The big trump card of the RB19 is aerodynamic efficiency. It stings, regardless of whether the downforce pushes the car hard on the asphalt for physical reasons, such as in fast corners, or with more ground clearance, which happens automatically in slow corners. Red Bull can choose where to make up time, on the straights with smaller wings or in the curves with larger ones. The others have to make too many compromises. So far, Red Bull has mostly improved the details. The exception was the race in Baku. The engineers are particularly careful with new developments because the regulations and the penalty for violating the budget cap 2021 restrict the use of the wind tunnel. Red Bull is only allowed to use it for 63% of the nominal time. Fortunately, we turned up with a competitive package at the start of the season, Red Bull's team principal Christian Horner stated. Otherwise, it would have been a nightmare for us with the restrictions. We have to choose carefully what we are actually testing and bringing. A lot of resources have already been shifted to next year's car. The world titles are almost impossible to take away from Red Bull. Verstappen is 99 points ahead of teammate Sergio Perez in the Drivers' Championship, and Red Bull as a team leads 208 points ahead of Mercedes. So, a big head start or not, that doesn't mean that the RB19 has come to a standstill in development. Red Bull should do the bodywork for the Budapest race, which means that the side boxes should experience a more meaningful change, and the changes to the outer skin should be visible to the naked eye. The assumption might be that Red Bull would shift their focus from this year's car to next year's model. However, as Mercedes asserts, there's room for a dual approach, making enhancements to the current car while planning for the next. Given that Red Bull's upcoming car will likely mirror this year's in terms of design and aesthetics, improvements made now could contribute to their understanding and development of the future model. That's the perspective of Mercedes, and presumably Red Bull shares this viewpoint to some degree. Given the cost cap and the penalties Red Bull has faced, one might assume they can't indefinitely roll out upgrades. But contrary to this belief, they're deploying additional enhancements in Hungary, with even more anticipated post-summer break. When it comes to upgrades, technically, AlphaTauri leads in the quantity of parts changed. However, this doesn't necessarily paint an accurate picture of the extent of modifications on the car. Large alterations count as a single change, just as several minor adjustments do, creating a potential disparity. So technically, Red Bull stands on par with Mercedes, having made around 20 upgrades. A few races ago, we heard that there would be additional upgrades from Red Bull, and especially after the car's flaw was revealed in Monaco when Perez crashed. Max stated that the current floor design would be replaced in a few races, suggesting that the picture circulating wouldn't matter much in the long run. When trying to catch up with a team like Red Bull, the challenge lies in the fact that while other teams draw inspiration from Red Bull's innovative designs, Red Bull continues to innovate, improving upon their own concepts. The new floor or side pod design they propose might be significantly faster than what competitors have been imitating. By the end of the season, Red Bull could have made substantial advancements, a benefit they enjoy as the team with the dominant car. The upgrades they're bringing to Hungary are expected to make the car 0.2 faster again. At the beginning of the season, such upgrades of 0.3 of a second were considered likely and feasible, while other teams, notably McLaren, have made significant strides. When your car is as exceptional as Red Bull's, gaining an extra 2 or 0.3 or even half a second seems near impossible given the constraints of the design concept. But Red Bull seems confident that they can make this happen. Visible changes are expected, most likely not related to the floor, although there may be some floor changes as well. According to the Auto, Motor and Sport podcast, these changes will affect the design of the side pods. This is particularly intriguing, considering that for a long time, and for good reason, side pods were not thought to significantly affect the car's overall performance. Mercedes often argued that factors such as suspension were more impactful. Red Bull's remarkable suspension system is contributing significantly to their current edge in all types of corners, where other cars seem to struggle. However, if Red Bull is making changes to their side pods, it suggests this aspect is also of notable importance. Many teams have taken cues from Red Bull's side pod design, and while it may not be the most critical factor, it's significant enough that Red Bull seeks to improve it. Red Bull seems determined to sustain their development pace, even planning to introduce upgrades after the summer break. The idea that they might halt development to allow for more varied race winners towards the season's end appears increasingly unlikely. It's conceivable that Red Bull's goal is to dominate every race this year and proceed with the same dominance into the next season. An intriguing remark from a Red Bull team member suggests that the car will not only be faster, but will also look stunning. Now, bear with us on this one. This is all depending on the translation from German, so it could mean either aesthetically pleasing or visually striking, which hints at a potentially radical design change. If someone from you guys is German, maybe you could clarify in the comments below. But there's speculation around whether Adrian Newey, the team's chief technical officer, would dare to present a zero-pod design at the Hungaroring. It would be really funny if Red Bull showed up with such a design, effectively proving Mercedes right about its theoretical speed advantage, but demonstrating that only Red Bull could make it work. Even if Red Bull doesn't go down this route, which is the likelier scenario, Mercedes had hoped to make the zero-pod concept function because of its potential performance benefits. Now, every other team, including Mercedes, is playing catch-up to Red Bull's successful design, which they believe they can still improve upon. If the upcoming changes are indeed visually stunning, how different will they be? It makes me personally curious to see what's next. While it's unlikely Newey will opt for a zero-pod design given its impact on the entire car's airflow, it's not completely off the table. Is there any team capable of beating Red Bull this season? They are pushing ahead, already significantly faster than everyone else, and planning another 0.2 upgrade when not many other teams have significant improvements in the pipeline. Last year, Verstappen won on this circuit by 10 seconds, starting from P10 on the grid, indicating a tough road ahead for competitors. However, the excitement remains in the battle for the podium's remaining spots, as Red Bull's victory already seems like a foregone conclusion. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. What do you expect from Red Bull in Hungary? Thank you for watching Racing Zone, and we'll see you in the next one.